Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here at Crypto Hash Review, where we educate and disseminate information about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies from a Muslim perspective. And we are continuing on our discussion about what the fatwa happened in 1971. And we covered lots of things about the inflation of the things we need to have, like food, things we want to buy, like food and property and that kind of stuff, electricities. We spoke about income for the general, for the bottom 90% on a stagnation since the decoupling of gold from decoupling the dollar from the gold standard, or from, I would say, decoupling of the dollar from a real world asset that is tied to work and effort, and not just the whims of the one who prints it, and productivity and wages also. So today we want to talk more, but we want to focus a bit more about currency devaluation. So before we spoke about the more to do with assets, now we're talking about the currencies itself. So we can see here the US official, or the official US gold reserves and the gold price. This is official, and there's always speculation about if America even has the gold, maybe they don't have the gold, but this is what's official. So we see here in 1990, we see the amount of gold that the American government has in reserve has been on an increase. And obviously, like I said, because they wanted to, if you want to increase the money supply, you have to get more gold. See, they see that connection. In order to increase the money supply, you have to have more gold. And in order to get more gold, you have to actually work for it. And so on. So you see, although there was a gradual increase, slowly stagnating during this period, and more increase, and then a lot more increase during the Second World War. Like I said, this was when a lot of Europe handed over their gold to America in exchange for goods and services. So they made a massive gain here, which is kind of what made America's dollar the de facto currency. And then kind of like, I guess the Bretton Woods agreement happened here, where everyone agreed to use the dollar as the backing for their currencies, and they acquired more gold. Then it kind of stagnated, and I guess you could say that this is like the first time when countries began to demand their gold back. So they had to hand America back their dollars and ask for their gold to be given back to them. So we see the reserves of the American of the reserves of America was declining. It was on the decline. It was on the decline for years. So from 1950s, 55s onward, up to 1970, when Nixon wanted to put a stop to it. Said no more. And that's where he said there's no more convertibility of the dollar into gold. You can't give us the dollars anymore, and we're not going to give you gold. And obviously that's why it kind of just stopped. And the reason why he did that is because if they continue taking it back, America will be quickly insolvent, and they have no more gold to back up their dollars, and it'll be the end of that one. But moving to this yellow line here, which is the price of gold. So you see the price of gold was stationary, because remember, they're trying to, the dollar is pegged to the gold. So although the gold reserves are increasing, the price of the actual notes in circulation is staying the same. Yeah. So although there's more dollars in circulation, they've obviously matched that with, or they tried to match that with, the amount of gold in storage, until it was depegged, and now the price of the dollar, or the price of gold in dollars, did this. Now, when we say it did this, let's think of what's actually happening. We would say the price of gold went up, which is what this is reflecting. But really what's happening is the price of the dollar in gold is going down. Flip your mind for a second. It's not that the price of gold has gone up. It's that the value of the dollar in relation to the gold has gone down, meaning you need more dollars to acquire the same amount of gold. So at this point here, gold was less than $100. Less than $100 will get you an ounce of gold. And then up to this point here, within the space of 10 years of decoupling, it got to more than $600 to get 1 ounce. So you need way more dollars just to get the same ounce of gold. It came back down here to about less than 300, and then it went up again to, well, I guess near to 900 in 2000 and something like that, probably 6 or something like that. And now, right now, looking at 1,670 something for gold right now at this date, which is the end of March 2021. So again, flip the scales. It's not that the dollar or the gold is becoming more expensive and more valuable. No, Gold has done the same. It's just the same. But it's the value of the dollar has been losing. And what's interesting is that it actually reminds me, it actually looks a bit like Bitcoin. The chart goes up, consolidates, goes up some more. So those who hate on Bitcoin and say, oh, Bitcoin is all up and down and blah, blah, just look. It may not be as fast and rapid as Bitcoin, but the same thing happens. Like I said to you, the same thing happens with all markets. This one's interesting. Hyperinflation. So hyperinflation is basically when the value of your currency just basically falls off a cliff and is quickly worth nothing. So we see moments when hyperinflation happened with different currencies. For example, here it was during the First World War. Here it was during the Second World War. During these two periods. But when there was no war, there weren't really any events of hyperinflation until 1971. And this is why it's important to recognize that it's not just America we're talking about, not just talking about the dollar, we're talking about the globe. Everyone's using dollars as backing for their currencies, and their debts with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and that kind of stuff, they're all based and denominated in dollars. When countries trade, they're generally denominated in dollars. So dollars are at the core of everything that happens in the world. And we've gone from a few events of hyperinflation to madness happening in the 80s and the 90s. Now, interestingly enough, it kind of stopped after this moment, after the dot-com boom, you could say, except for Zimbabwe. And these colors here, which is interesting here, it says here the price doubles. So this is what this means here. So the colors, if the price of things doubles on an hourly basis, like every hour, the price is doubling, then it's red. You see right here and here and here. If the price doubles every day, then it's orange, like here, 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 and here. And if it takes weeks for your price to double, then that's the rest of it. So this is hyperinflation. That means when inflation has gone ridiculous. I mean, come think about it. If you go to the supermarket and you put milk in the trolley, and by the time you've got to the checkout, it's already doubled in price. Astaghfirullah. That's the hyperinflation. Why it happens? Another video. But we see, for example, like we had Hungary happened in the Second World War. It happened in Germany as well after the First World War, which was like Weimar. I think it must be Weimar, Germany. A lot happened, but here we have. Look, it's red one. Who's the red one? Poland happened in Poland. It happened in Yugoslavia during this time here. I guess it's due to wars and stuff. I don't know, and instability in that area. You have Zimbabwe. You had now most recently Venezuela. Their price doubling almost every week. And this is an interesting metric. Remember, we're trying to show you different metrics or different stats from different parts to show you the same story. So the occurrence of the word adjusted for inflation. So whenever you have books, obviously Google books, they categorize loads of books throughout history, and they allow you to search the data in those books. So people who wrote and used the word adjusted for inflation, it was not even a thing until the Second World War. Then they mentioned the issue of the price of this adjusted for inflation, and then it stopped. And it started to increase until 1971, and boom. Now, truth be told, some may say, look, this is still 0.0000%, but look at the growth. We've gone from 50 to 100 to 150 to 200 to 250. This is the amount of increase of the use of the word adjusted for inflation in materials that are being published and available. Again, currency crashes. When did currencies actually crash, and how often was that happen? So during the Napoleon Wars, we had that happening, obviously war. And then there's pretty much nothing after that, little tiny blips until we had 1971. I mean, this is ridiculous, really, if you think about all these things that happen. As soon as you decouple the currency from something real and tangible down to work and hard labor, then this is effectively what happens. What's interesting though is, although it is on a decline, what caused it to kind of stabilize in 2000s? The noughties, I'm not sure. It's an interesting one. How much currencies have gone to zero, and that's one thing that's interesting. Currencies have always gone to zero. The price of the currencies, fiat currencies, have always gone to zero, and we've seen them here. So, for example, the German mark, it collapsed from 100% down to zero. And you can press pause and have a look at this, or go to the website itself. The euro itself, that's interesting. The euro began and it kind of declined, and then it went sideways in 1971. All of them. So this is like due to the Second World War, we had some issues. You know, the yen, the euro, the US dollar even. And then after that, it kind of was stabilized. People were happy and great until 1971. We had that shock. We had a bit of a bump. Everyone kind of like went up a bit. And now all of them are gone to zero. Near zero. I mean, look, it all trended towards near zero. Just absorb that for 1 second. Actually, I think this thing here is the pound and not the euro. So that's the pound, not the euro. I was wondering why the euro would have been so old. But yeah, this is to do with the pound. So the pound sterling, obviously Second World War would have killed them off a bit. But yeah, this moment here, everything bumped up and then fell down to zero. And then all of them are literally near zero from what they used to be back in the 1900s. And with gold being pretty much the same as gold is gold. And we had this issue here of banking crises, how they've increased over that time period, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so we finished this section dealing with what the fatwa happened in 1971, and we've got more to cover. This is interesting to see how just by depegging the currency from something real, attached to hard work, how that affects almost everything around us, and how riba, interest, kills us all. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and check out our website if you want to find out any more information, learn more stuff about Bitcoin, and may Allah give you plenty of Bitcoin and protect you from inflation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.